What improved your quality of life so much you wish you did it sooner? Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. I wish you a pleasant viewing experience. Story 1. I am a software developer, so I spend over 8 hours a day looking at a screen. I started having severe tiredness, mild depression, and this lasted a couple of years. No matter how much sleep I got, it didn't help. I became irritable and eventually started having headaches. I thought it was sinus headaches because it felt similar. Then I had severe migraines. I went to the doctor and everything came back normal. Eventually, I found out that it could be eye strain. I started resting my eyes every 30 minutes, focusing on something around 20 feet away. If I'm using my phone, I use it a reasonable distance away. A few days later, all of my symptoms disappeared. Story 2. In my early 20s, I learned it was okay to say, "I don't know," instead of pretending I knew what someone was talking about. People are excited to share what they know. It's such a simple thing that led to a lot of professional and social growth for me. Story 3. Paying attention to my diet and eating healthy. Working out regularly, stretching. My physical and mental health has improved drastically. I didn't even know how crappy I felt at the time. And it's only in hindsight I can see how awful my gorging and sloth made me feel. Story 4. Buying a dishwasher? IDK a single person who enjoys doing dishes, but I had no clue just how much I would enjoy having one. Takes records to 5 minutes of my time to load the thing, and it does the dishes for me while I watch TV, game, LOL. Story 5. Laser eye surgery. I had 7.5 and 7.25 vision and couldn't even read my phone screen at more than 3 inches. Now I can wake up and see what time it is on the alarm clock. The catalyst for me was when I put my glasses down on the bathroom counter and couldn't find them. I was looking 2 inches from the countertop and just couldn't find them. This was a few weeks after I knocked them off my nightstand and under my bed. Story 6. I stopped being scared of failing at my hobbies or finding the learning process too difficult. I just say "Monero wa iti" and jump in. It's art at the end of the day, so however it turns out is however turns out. I dreamed for years of experimenting with making music, but was always intimidated by expensive setups and a tedious learning process. About a year ago, I slowly started teaching myself modular synthesis, and when I'm creating, I feel so free and happy. Story 7. On quitting drinking. Lost 50 lbs, skin cleared up, and I look younger. It's probably because my body is functioning as it should. Eating healthier also has helped. I'm 33. I will have a year sober on May 14. I'm still figuring out how to make new friends whose lives don't revolve around drinking. It's lonely, but it's still better than the utter despair of alcoholism. Story 8. Exercise. I thought it was vain to exercise all the time. Now I get cranky, churry, depressed if I don't. I hate fitting it into my day, but I always feel better once I've done it. It gives me energy, I get outside for the most part, and it keeps my body in way better shape than sitting on the couch ever did. I also now look at it through the lens of how ill feel and move when I'm 60 plus. I want to be mobile and strong for as long as possible. Story 9. For better quality sleep, magnesium glycinate. I took the other kind, citrate, without realizing there were different types of magnesium. It gave me the shits. Sleep feels more restful, improves my mood for the day. Story 10. Taking vitamins. I take an iron, magnesium, and multivitamin supplement every night. I now sleep through the night, wake earlier, and rarely need a nap in the day. I have chronic illnesses, so this is wonderful for me. Story 11. Divorce. My ex was such a drain on my life. I had GI issues, skin issues, anxiety, depression. It didn't change overnight, well, except for the GI issues, but has steadily improved since I left him. I was over-functioning, taking care of him before myself, and even had a cancer scare plus emergency surgery, which was the wake-up call I needed to get out. He cheated repeatedly, belittled me, was controlling. Loving myself enough to leave has made every second of my life more worth living. Story 12. Antidepressants. Thought I was just lazy and perpetually exhausted 24/7. Stopped listening to people in my circle who said it was normal given my circumstances to feel this way and spoke to my doctor. Wish I would have done this a decade ago. I feel so much better now. Story 13. Quitting pot. I realized it made me be okay with being mediocre and not taking much action. It's a dopamine game throughout, trying to chase one high after the other. Not only that, I realized the effect it had on my mood, energy levels, and sleep. I've noticed a day and night difference after I stopped using. The cons may seem small, But that's the fucked up part, because they're so small you don't think of them much, but over time in the long run it builds up to some hefty damage without you realizing. I'm still someone who smokes occasionally, but making it an everyday habit is a no-go for me at this point. Story 14. Learning how to cook like a chef. Went to a community college culinary program, and it was hands down the most useful investment of my time. I won't work in restaurants, not my cup of tea, but being able to think and cook like a chef has been a very net positive skill. Story 15. I bought an automatic nasal rinser. I was so afraid of using one for the longest time because anything to do with snot makes me vomit, and I didn't want to get in a cycle of feeling snot, vomiting, then having to choose between the vomit coming out my nose or swallowing snot. But I found a machine that doesn't make the solution come out of your mouth, and it's powered, so it's easier for the solution to go through your nasal cavity. And after it rinses, it goes into a separate section of the machine, and you can dump it out. I bought it over a year ago, and while it could just be a coincidence, I haven't been sick since I got it. Story 16. Volunteering. Meet people with the same interests and values as you. Be in the community, making it better. Feel good about yourself. Learn new skills for free. Honestly, there is no downside. Everyone should do it, especially if you're bored, lonely, or having any sort of existential dread. Story 17. Lexapro. Gave me the boost I needed to go to therapy, start working out, get away from cheap thrills, find balance in life. I got off of it eventually, but without it, I wouldn't have had that fail-safe to stabilize me and let me work back up to normal. Story 18. Marrying. My wife is such an amazing person, and it helped me a lot to handle some of my own issues, personal image problems, and have a wholesome life in general. And moving overseas in second place because now I can practice some windsurf, which is something I always wanted to do. Actually, I wanted to surf, but no waves here, luckily, because windsurf is way better. D. Story 19. Listening. It took me a long time to learn because before, I was so desperate for validation when I was younger, but now I don't care as much about that these days. You learn so much by listening to people either in direct conversation or just letting conversations wash around you. I do it a lot at work, and people magically think you're this really nice and thoughtful person when really you're just taking the time to listen to what they have to say. It makes people feel really valued, and they in turn value you back. Story 20. This is really specific but may help someone because it's been life-changing for me. I have Sjogren's disease since early childhood. It's an autoimmune disease that caused my tear and salivary glands to atrophy amongst other things. I have scleroderma too, which causes soft tissue to harden, and together my eyes were so dry I had corneal damage. I had over a decade of wearing punctal plugs tear duct implants to try and occlude the lower ducts, which act as drains, to try and keep artificial tears in, at least. To no avail. They never worked for me since they're not custom made, so didn't quite fit my eyes. I had many pairs, they would fall out, poke my eyeballs, even causing bleeding once. I just never reaped the benefits touted by doctors and manufacturers in some patients. It got to a point where it took me 30 minutes every morning, just flooding my eyes with drops, before I could fully open them and try to acclimate to the light. The pain was constant and impacted my quality of life tremendously. And even after that whole morning routine, I'd still be applying drops all day, and at night ointment, sleep masks, again to no avail. I was miserable and dealing with all the other symptoms of the conditions as well. Then I saw a corneal specialist for the first time, and she told me there was hope. She thought I should get my lower tier ducts surgically closed via cauterization. That unlike plugs, the ducts would be fully occluded, thereby keeping in even the negligible amount of tear lake I did have, as well as allowing artificial tears to remain much longer in my eyes, providing substantial relief. The procedure was painless due to numbing drops and took a few minutes. The results were immediate. My eyes improved so much afterwards, it was night and day, and has remained that way years later. I barely ever need drops now. I can wear eye makeup again. I would have never believed my eyes could improve, as the many doctors I had seen over the years said it was futile given my conditions. Even if you suffer severe dry eyes for reasons other than Sjogren's disease, this may benefit you and your life could improve in a way you couldn't believe was possible. See a corneal specialist. I wish I'd done so way sooner. I just didn't even know such a procedure existed, but now you do. Story 21. Going vegan. Don't care if I get downvoted. It took all my health problems away and made me become my best self. That was 15 years ago, and I've never looked back. Friends, family, and wife all got much healthier as a result of my influence on them. It's been beautiful. Whole food plant-based vegans specifically. I know plenty of unhealthy vegans who eat a ton of processed food. Vegan junk food is still junk food. But if we are eating as close to nature's plan as possible, my goodness, the changes are nothing short of miraculous. If only I would have discovered it when I was a child instead of after 33 years of poisoning myself. Story 22, regular exercise, improving diet, and eliminating sugar. Down 160 BURs and wear a size smaller waist pants and a size smaller shirt than I did in HS 30 years ago. Beyond that, not trying to go above and beyond at work. Doing what's required the last 3 years has netted me better reviews and lowered my stress. Basically, I no longer give AON unless it's about my quality of life. Story 23. Stopping being a high achiever. Seriously, doing good enough at work is perfectly fine. Stressing out over projects that aren't your idea is the worst. And seeing coworkers slacking off while you're martyring yourself is awful for your health, especially when you're on group projects with those slackers. Going from exceptional to adequate on my yearly review has had 0 bad side effects and so many good ones for my quality of life. Story 24, playing Pokemon Go. Got me out of the house walking around, gave me a community of people to talk to and share experiences with, gave me events to go to, gave me tasks and goals for my future, kinda gave me a reason to want to live. Story 25, meeting the best friends I have now. Just gave up on life before I met them and now have a lot of repairs to do financially, etc. But glad I know they are real because didn't judge me for being rock bottom. Story 26, going vegan. Seriously, better health, better sleep, better skin, clearer thinking, all around improvement in every area of my life. Plus, I know I'm making a huge step to help the environment, and I know I'm not deliberately causing any suffering to any conscious, living beings. And the longer I keep at it, the more bizarre it seems to me that we've gotten accustomed to eating the burned bodies of animals. Story 27. Go take care of your teeth. Go to a dentist and get a full and deep clean and get them cavities fixed. Once your teeth are deep cleaned, floss. I do it in the shower while I'm waking up, but however you do it because you just did the deep clean. You won't bleed anymore when you floss. Try it. Keep them teeth. Bonus. I stopped having the my teeth are breaking apart dreams once I did this. Story 28, eliminating gluten and wheat. I can't believe how my mood and well-being is so much better now. Wearing earplugs to bed. I live on a main road. I would wake up so many times during the night from cars and loud trucks going by. Story 29, saying no. I used to be a yes person to everything. Extra work? Sure. Doing okay mentally, physically, and emotionally? Yep, dandy. Does this food sound good? Of course, despite me hating it. You get the idea. Just actually voicing my side, help myself be happier, and build my relationships with people better too. Story 30. Showering in the afternoon instead of the morning feels like I need to earn the shower by getting dirty enough. And I'm more inclined to work out, be outside, do chores, do yard housework, knowing if I get dirty, I'm just gonna shower later. Story 31. Quitting drinking. I was in no way an alcoholic. I just realized I felt hungover a lot, and it was getting in the way of my morning workouts. I have had booze a couple of times since then. I stopped 5 years ago, and when I do, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I put this crap in my body multiple times per week. Combined with the crazy data on cancer, it's the best decision I ever made. Don't miss it at all, and love the little mocktail and NA options at bars these days. Story 32. I got into ridiculous shape. Life's too short, and there's no going back. It takes 30 minutes a day if you go hard. The difference in how I'm treated at work, random interactions, etc. is eye-opening. Not that it goes to my head, but life is so much better. I now look forward to each day, and I feel everyone should experience that. Story 33. Sleep. Just get your 8 hours. If you prioritize it, you'll be much happier, healthier, and productive. I grew up in the grind to get ahead area, but there are diminishing returns if you don't get the sleep you need. Cut out booze for extra benefit. Story 34. 1 meal a day lifestyle. Thought I needed to be obese forever. I was wrong. Carried that weight for 30 years. Now at year 4 of OMAD and back to teenage weight and normal BMI. Wish I'd known about OMAD sooner. Story 35. I always used to be polite, to the extent that I was a people pleaser. As I have got older, I realized that being direct is beneficial for all involved, and it doesn't necessarily come across as rude. Story 36 and Tino's Quitting religion. Wow, I have never had my happiness shoot up so fast. It happened in stages, finally admitting to myself I don't believe in the Bible nor its God, and don't even like it. Getting the courage to quit church and distance myself from the Bible thumpers. Absolute freedom of mind. The increase in free time and energy from giving no Fs has been amazing too. Story 37. I wish I had met my husband when we were younger, but I met him when I was 42, and he was 40 soon to turn 41. We met in August 2024, and we are married December 31 of 24. He has been the best decision I have ever made, and I wish I could have met him sooner. Story 38, weird one, but hear me out. We cover our wall-mounted television with curtains. We love to watch movies, but realized we were spending too much time in front of the TV. So we now cover it when not in use. When we want to watch a movie, we pull back the curtain. The result is an out-of-sight, out-of-mind situation where we get a lot more done and are generally more productive because we aren't automatically defaulting to TV watching. Story 39, hallucinogens, therapy, and transitioning. I think people are sort of structurally who they are. I don't really believe in free will exactly, and I think a lot of what we call choice is a result of our chemistry, structure, neuro to a significant extent. And though difficult, those can be shaped, changed by experiences, medicine, probably other things I'm not listing here. I think these three things allowed me to form new ways of living. I think hallucinogens give you a chance to step outside yourself and kind of re-roll your character a little bit. Obviously, your mileage may vary, and some people might react negatively to them, but I found them incredibly beneficial. Therapy, whatever form that takes, talk, DBT, etc., can help with making you aware of what, why, how you're doing things, and actively engaging with those can change you structurally and afford you new choices. Again, mileage may vary, and real progress requires real work. In my case, lastly, medical transition via HRT has exceeded all expectations. Obviously, it changed my body chemistry, but I didn't expect exactly how big of an impact that would have. It's not just that I look fantastic now. It's like the world was black and white, and I'm seeing in color now. I love more intensely, I'm socially more capable, I laugh easier. With distance, I can see what I called a life before was more like surviving and not thriving. These things might not work for you, but if you're reading this, I hope you are able to find something that works, and subsequently, happiness. Story 40. Losing weight. I never believed in myself, so I never tried until last year when I put my foot down and decided to give it a chance. I'm now 107 pounds lighter with about 60 more to go. It improved my life in so many ways. I never knew believing in myself would get me this far. Story 41 therapist did an AMA on Reddit, and I asked a question. Nothing huge, but like everyone, we working through some things. They recommended a journal. Since I asked, I like to follow through. Otherwise, I am wasting both our time. So I did it, and wow, it made a difference, and I sing its praises in hopes I reach a few Redditors here and there. Basically, what happens is you exercise that feeling, implant it in the paper, and it stays there. Just like exercise, once done, you leave the gym and it's over. That is the journal. Use Notion or Coda or Apple Notes and do it in your way. It's great and my best tip to help with quality of life. Story 42. I absolutely. Here's a version that feels casual and heartfelt, like you're talking to friends on Reddit. Honestly, talking, like really talking to my partner about the things that unintentionally hurt me made such a difference. I used to bottle up small things he did that made me feel bad, thinking I was being overly sensitive or that it would start a fight. But one day I just opened up gently and he actually listened. No drama, no defensiveness, just calm understanding. After that, he shared some of his own feelings and expectations too, and those conversations just flowed. We weren't trying to win or prove anything, just understand each other better. Now we get each other on a deeper level. I don't overthink his actions or sit with unspoken resentment. Our relationship feels lighter, more peaceful, and way more connected. I honestly wish we started doing this way earlier. It changed everything. Story 43, daily exercise. I used to work out pretty steady in my 20s and stopped at about 30 because of work. Made a greater effort to turn things around start of this year, and I'm glad I did. I feel better, I'm looking better, and I no longer fight myself mentally going to the gym and actually look forward to it. Story 44. Slowly and gradually stop giving attention to people, celebrities, relatives, events around me that don't impact my life in any way. I am happier, less anxious, less prone to freaking out, and I have more time to spend on things that calm me. Now I even lie down on my bed without my phone in my hand. I prefer this new me. Story 45. Therapy. My father constantly told me how only weak people go to therapy because they expect a therapist to fix their problems for them. I was diagnosed with severe depression at a pretty young age and was recommended therapy, and that was his reaction. Anytime I hinted at it, he reminded me, and I believed him. It took until an attempt for me to actually go, and I realized how much of a piece of my father was. No one's fixing your problems for you. A therapist gets to know you and works with you to teach you how to manage your own problems without trying to end your subscription to life. I don't go to therapy anymore, but the tools I've learned have helped, and I feel comfortable not going to therapy. If I ever need new tools to deal with life, I will go back, but right now I'm good. Don't ever let anyone tell you therapy is useless. You may need to try a few different therapists to find your one, but it's worth it, and no problem is too small for therapy. I actually think everyone should utilize therapy if they can. Mental health professionals are severely underrated. Story 46. Getting in shape and started putting myself first. Being an Asian and the eldest son, I always feel like I have to take all the responsibilities of the family. I took over the family business and took care of my parents as soon as I graduated. I feel dead inside during that time, even though I have a beautiful wife and my parents are also great. I put on weight, depressed, and I don't even feel happy while doing the things I love, like street photography and reading books. I want to travel the world and explore other career paths, but never got the chance because I feel guilty leaving my parents behind. As soon as the Civil War broke out in my country, I made a decision one night after listening to Sleep on the Floor by Lumineers. After watching the music video, it finally hit me that I'll never leave my town if I don't now. I sold my cars and motorbikes, leave the business back to my parents, then moved out to Thailand and started traveling to other countries. I'm currently financially unstable, but I've never felt more alive and happy than the last 25 hours of my life. I bought my dream camera and walked the streets of Bangkok while taking street photos, started lifting weight again and got in shape. Went to my Fabi artists concerts and made so many new friends. Story 47. Prescription antiperspirant. My whole family has overactive sweat glands and my medication makes it worse. Once I got on prescription antiperspirants, I no longer have giant sweat circles under my armpits. And I don't mean prescription strength because that's bullshit. I mean prescription as in prescribed by a doctor. I use Drysol, and it's great. It's just antiperspirant in ethanol. You apply it, the ethanol evaporates, and you're left with a slightly itchy white coating that stops the sweat. I actually like ice water now because I'm not freezing all the time. Story 48. I am from the southern U.S., and I was raised to finish your plate because not everyone has food. We were really poor growing up, but always had something to eat. It may have been potatoes and beans, but we had food. I kept that mindset all of my life, and I've been overweight all of my life. It finally clicked a few years ago that I'm an adult, and I no longer have to live by that rule. I do not waste food, but now only eat what I think I can to be content without being full. I dropped 70 ribs. I have a way to go, but huge improvement. Also, stop stressing about stuff that will not matter in a year. A friend is running behind, but you are on time. Happens. No need to get pissy for them being late. Use that time to read or play a game. Spouse forgets something from a list. No worries, just work around it. My high blood pressure has also improved. Story 49. Getting rid of my car. Already lived in a city next to transit. My wife and I biked often. We barely used it, and when we did, it often broke down. It was also a liability leaving it on the streets in some parts of town. 8 years later, and kid in tow. We still make it work without a car and couldn't be happier. No traffic, no fighting for parking, no insurance, no gas. And we've stayed fit and have grown a community of friends around biking together to drinks, run errands. If we ever need to leave the city, we can rent, and it's still a hell of a lot cheaper than a car payment. Story 50. Besides learning how to cook, check other comment, was this phrase, I was bullied a bunch as a kid, that gave me perspective. I found myself remembering the day in kindergarten when the teacher showed us Dumbo, and I realized for the first time that all the kids in the class, even the bullies, rooted for Dumbo against Dumbo's tormentors. Invariably, they laughed and cheered, both when Dumbo succeeded and when bad things happened to his enemies. But they're you, I thought to myself. How did they not know? They didn't know. It was astounding. An astounding truth. Everyone thought they were Dumbo. Elif Batuman, Story 51. Since I have not seen this yet, I'll add building an emergency fund. Just the amount of stress that I removed from my life once I knew I could afford to have my car break down, within reason, or get hit with a larger than normal utility bill without worrying about how I would eat was life-changing. Story 52. Moved out of my home state. Everyone always told me to just suck it up and appreciate it, Alabama, and that you always think the grass is greener on the other side. Got out 4 years ago when I moved to Minnesota and don't have a single regret. Love it here. Sometimes you just don't like where you are, and there can be other places that are a better fit for you. Story 53. Trying to be more positive in my thoughts process and not dwelling on all the bad. Also, volunteering, just the knowledge that I'm helping someone that needs it. Going the extra mile and complimenting a complete stranger and seeing it completely light them up. It's all little things, but the little adds up. Be the change you want to see in the world. I have a sign that says that up in my living room, and I look at it daily. Story 54. Small changes applied consistently over a long time generate massive results. Herculean efforts applied sporadically will fail and lead to disappointment. Whether it's exercise, diet, relationships, work, or hobbies, consistency trumps outright effort. Don't get me wrong, consistent, significant effort can lead to bigger results, but consistent, small efforts will work. Bonus tip, start today, not when you're ready. Tomorrow may come with a new barrier. Story 55, asking for help. My grandfather brought me off a path of homelessness and depression. It took true desperation, but when I did, my family and friends were exposed to my situation and helped me move forward with my life. My best friend helped me get over my ex and move forward with my life. I am so grateful to him. Side note, boys, it's okay to tell your boys you miss your ex and you are the toxic one. If they are good friends, they will help. My fiance, just a million times I have asked for math help, cooking help, car help, financial help. She has been there. Always be open and honest with your partner and always ask for help if you need it. Story 56, I quit smoking. Good Lord, I had no idea how insidious smoking is and how much it impacted my everyday life, my health, my overall sense of well-being. When you've smoked for a long time and it's just seeped into every part of your life, when you quit and it sticks, it's not unlike that scene in Lord of the Rings when the king is freed from possession and his well-being is restored. You gradually feel it leaving you. Then your lungs start to clean out and you cough up this incredible tar-infused crap. It's like nothing else I've ever experienced. Story 57, late to the party but a CPAP. I was always so tired. Never mattered how long I slept, just tired. Like that wake up tired where the first thing you can do is see if you can fit in a nap over lunch tired. First night with it, I felt like I slept for a week. I couldn't tell you the last time I slept like that. I was almost emotional about it. I had so much energy the next day. Story 58. I don't know yet how much of a difference it'll make, but I just bought myself a cool-ass clipboard. On Friday, I subbed for middle schoolers and used a clipboard to take notes on random unrelated the whole time, and felt like I had so much more control than I did at other schools without one. I'm gonna bring this thing everywhere. Story 59. After a lifetime of traumatic experiences and fucked up family dynamics, going to EMDR therapy. After the year I spent processing all that and getting to know and love my inner child, my life changed for the better, dramatically. It's amazing the impact that learning to love and accept oneself can have on every aspect of one's life. Story 60. Being confident in myself and speaking positively of myself. I still struggle with it sometimes, but I've made some great progress over the years. Before I used to think there is something inherently wrong with me and I need to fix myself. Then years passed and I realized that I'm actually pretty well adjusted, and although not perfect, I am overall a good and kind person who is capable of learning from my mistakes. Story 61. Having the difficult conversations. I always shied away from confrontation, but now when I'm upset with a friend or someone higher up at work, I tell them and have a constructive conversation. It took away so much anxiety and I'm not alone seething in discomfort. My mom always said when someone does something wrong, instead of internalizing it, tell them and make it their problem to fix. Story 62. A lot of people have already said it, but it's the truth. Diet, exercise, and sleep. I believe it answers a lot of problems for a lot of people, or at least allows you to have the energy and motivation to solve the other ones yourself. Someone once said that if they put the effects of exercise or good sleep into a pill, it would be sold out immediately. Although it's not easy, that made it really attractive to me for some reason. Like, oh, I just go outside and walk for free, or go to sleep at a reasonable hour, and I get all this good feeling stuff? Okay, let's do it. Story 63, getting a sleep study done and treating sleep apnea. Sleep is so very critical to daily life. I wish I had done it when I was in my 20s instead of my 40s. Also, morning exercise activities make the day so much better. Quitting drinking soda or going to drive-through restaurants. If I hadn't done these things, I'd be dead by now. Story 64. Letting young bulls on dating apps come over and absolutely rail me once a week. I got the house, recently divorced, no strings attached. I'm done playing nice, being embarrassed, and putting myself in a corner. I see it, I want it, I get it, I am in charge. I choose a nice-looking guy who also is looking for a cozy chill time. He comes in, we have some banter, I offer drinks or food, we get in the mood. He makes me feel alive more than I have felt any time after getting married, with how dead and stale I felt for the past 15 years. Ladies, if you are looking for stamina, this is it. I had no idea it could still be this exhilarating and fun. No nonsense, he knows what he is in for, and so do you. We light a joint, maybe even agree to a second round sometime down the week. He leaves. I go on with life and wait for the next round. No stress, no arguing, no bullshit. You'd be surprised how many young guys are actually into this. Apparently the young dating market is an absolute nightmare. Social media antics, trust issues, the works. I see it in my friends' daughters. They are absolutely brain-rotted by toxic TikTok relationship reels and all that nonsense. Well, I have never felt sexier and more relaxed ever in my life. My femininity is through the roof. I wake up happy, lusting for life. Might be just, but goddamn is it important for an adult to balance their mental health out. Feel like I have rediscovered it, and it is pure bliss. Story 65. Stem cell therapy. I went from agony, always being so sore through every muscle in my body, whether I worked out consistently or just rested for 2 weeks. Stretching daily, PT weekly, eating very little gluten, it increases inflammation. All helped manage the symptoms of nerve damage, but there were no bright days. If I slept wrong, I'd wake up barely able to move without muscle spasms, numbness after 2-3 hours of sleep, and maybe get another hour more a night if I used a sleep aid, drank a lot more because I don't like pain pills and feel they're even more dangerous. I got stem cells and it didn't magically fix me, but my nerves literally felt like they've healed so much in the last year. My mobility is incredibly improved, so is my spirit. I do still have to avoid certain jarring activities, and things are still out of place spine-wise, but my discomfort level is down 70% at this point and seems to have levels off. Best I ever spent. Story 66, I have a couple. For context, I had struggled with GAD, anxiety, and ruts of depression for about 4 years. It sucked. Last year, I decided enough was enough. I got my together, and I can proudly say, I'm the happiest I have been in forever. 1. Quit the victim mentality. You can't just expect people to fly under and save your life. It's not their job. 2. Eating better and exercise. It sucks how well this works. 3. Talking to someone, journaling. Journaling changed my life. Being honestly about my thoughts and feeling and writing them down as proof was a massive eye-opener. Remember, only you can control your actions in your life. You don't have to wish things were different. They can be, and it starts with you. Good luck, stranger. Story 67. I have friends who love going out. I'm an intentional homebody. I used to bend and twist and put myself on discomfort because the only thing fun to them is bars, loud restaurants, concerts. I agreed to go to the User concert because it felt like the only way we could hang out, and then go decided no more. Haven't seen them in 6 months, but I'm not stressed. I've really gotten into crocheting and plants. Story 68. Leaving my 9-to-5 job, those times were dark. I got stuck in it and gained a ton of weight. Was home when it was dark in the winter. Years of wasted life. Now I work afternoons and have the day all to myself. I'm able to enjoy my home during the day in winter and summer. I am also not stuck in rush hour with the rest of the rat race. Story 69, sauna. I live in Finland where we have enough saunas to basically have one for each person. Sadly, more modern constructions are saving on costs, and not all new apartments, or even entire buildings, have saunas anymore. When I moved for work, the place I ended up living for 2 years only had a communal sauna, heated only once a week. We've since moved twice, and both places had our own sauna in our home. My wife, American, I introduced to sauna the first time she came to Finland while we were only dating. And after living with me in that first place for a year, when we moved, she was adamant we must have our own sauna, and we have had one since then. Hot summer day, heat up a sauna, sweat a bit and wash off. You'll feel cool for hours. Frozen in the winter, heat up a sauna, warm up, and stay warm for hours. Hangover, you guessed it, sweating in a sauna is a great fix. Feeling sore from the gym, sauna and stretching. Stressed, motherfucking sauna, let all that stress just melt off you. Angry, more water on the stones, more steam, more heat, and you come out the other end less angry. Happy, you know what makes it even better? Feeling relaxed, refreshed, and comfortable, like you do after a sauna. That is just magical. Everyone should adopt the Finnish sauna culture and really take it on themselves to use their sauna at least 2-3 times a week. Story 70. I went vegan at 55 for ethical reasons, but I can tell my health has improved substantially. One example being the arthritis in my hands is much improved. Now 60, I look back and can't say for sure why the improvement. I think it might be more to do with eating cleaner, less processed food, than anything to do with cutting meat and dairy. Whatever the reason, I'm sticking with this lifestyle. It suits me very well, and it's better for the animals and the environment. Story 71. To stop lying. I was a compulsive liar, literally lying about everything, for the entirety of my middle school and half of my high school. I realized I hadn't been happy for 6 years, and decided one day to live authentically without telling any lies about myself. I started appreciating and being confident in who I actually was immediately. I met my best friend a year later and got my first girlfriend a year after that. Story 72. Wow, I don't have anything to add. Just want to say, these posts are eye-opening and are giving me hope. I'm 45, been feeling really down and lost, trying to figure out small steps to make changes to help me out of this slump I'm in so I don't slip further. Some of these seem monumental at the moment, although I know they're needed, but some are things I know I could start today, like taking vitamin D. Story 73. Long walks. It sounds so basic, but it gave me my time back, spending time outdoors on my own. Plus, the exercise releases healthy hormones while helping me on my fat loss goal. The exercise is low effort and low impact, so it feels sustainable. Plus, I enjoy listening to music and podcasts, so it's just a nice way to have time for me. It's been a big win-win so far. Story 74. Losing weight, taking up karate, and standing up to my dad. Oh, and saving money. Change the things you actually have control over. It's well worth it. I'm still riddled with issues, but at least I've shed a few. And honestly, whenever I come across a problem I can't control, it's nice to remember I've helped the ones I can. Story 75. Getting a bigger apartment. I started out in a studio because it was cheap and I didn't have enough stuff to need the extra space. But then COVID happened and I needed to work from home at my dining table. Let me tell you, sitting in a dining chair hunched over a laptop is not comfortable. I finally moved up to a 1-bedroom apartment with a proper desk setup, and while it's still not perfect, it's a major improvement, and I wish I'd done it years ago. Story 76. Starting on a GLP-1. I wasn't obese, but was overweight and struggling to lose weight, had zero motivation, and felt sluggish all the time. Everyone has their thoughts on it, but for me it was the best decision ever. I lost 40 kilograms over the course of 8 months. I did it right by prioritizing protein and lifting weights, and I feel great. Story 77. Working out regularly, but focusing on building strength and routine, not being skinny. Focusing solely on weight loss took the fun out of it. Going up in weights on the machine is so much more satisfying than constant weigh-ins. Story 78. Good pair of shoes paid like $250. They have lasted a couple of years now and have saved my back worth every penny. I used to buy cheap shoes, which I replaced every 3 months, and the soles would wear out before then. I ended up spending more money a year buying crappy shoes and having terrible back problems. Story 79. It'll be the unpopular opinion here, but I capped the workday with a drink, and I've stopped giving a about people's opinions of my past. Was a former piece of, but that lifestyle is behind me. I enjoy my evening routine and am so much more relaxed. Story 80. Learning to say no, even if it feels awkward, instead of saying yes to everything, and then being riddled with guilt for having to cancel or disappoint someone. Mildly related, cutting off people who were either sucking my energy or just not making me feel like my best self. Story 81. Getting my teeth removed. I was blessed with some really genetics, and that combined with neglecting dental hygiene in my formative years really put me in the hole. Even when I started taking better care of them, I felt like I was making no progress, and new problems seemed to pop up weekly. Eventually, it got to a point where I would get this gnarly shooting pain through several of my teeth, like someone shot a nails through my skull every time I smiled, opened my mouth, or God forbid, eat anything. I finally bit the bullet earlier this year and got all of my uppers pulled, and I feel alive again. I can eat and not want to blow my brains out every time I bite into something. I'm not as irritable or on a freaking hair trigger 24/7. I can sleep a full 8-10 hours without being woken up by some bullshit flare-up. So many dentists told me I'm too young. I'm 27 TW. I'd regret it. Dentures won't be the same. My QOL would diminish, etc. They can all eat. I haven't felt this amazing in, well, ever. Story 82. Cutting off toxic family members. I started doing this when I started going to therapy heavy after my divorce. Showed me a path where I don't have to have anxiety whenever my family comes around. I wish I did this 10 years ago. No passive aggressiveness, no side comments, no overstepping boundaries. Story 83 WFH, and used to manually switch my monitors, KB, mouse, etc. between my personal PC and work PC. I got a KVM switch about a year ago, and my life has changed. Now I just press a single button, and everything switches between PCs. Story 84. Prescription antidepressants saved my life. I went some years with talk therapy and every non-prescription supplement, vitamin which is brew known. Tried all that, plus gym, yoga, meditation, etc. At one point, it all just stopped working. Pop, just stopped. My depression blew back in immediately. I had to wait 3 weeks to see a Psyche MD. First try was a moonshot. Worked. This was 2010. Story 85. Getting a sleep study done. Before, everything came with an energy price tag. Now I do the things that felt like too much work just because I'm nearby and thinking about it. Sleep apnea is subtle and a bit of a dick. Story 86. Adopting my dog. My mental health has improved 1-0 since he came into my life. He's always happy to see me, and I'm never lonely, even though I otherwise live alone. I've been more cautious and responsible since I have someone other than myself to take care of. He has brought me so much joy. Story 87, 22 on years. Soda 25 years schon. Weed 27 years schon. Cigarettes 36 years. Alcohol. I have a weird, addicting personality that is like a double-edged sword. I slowly replaced each of the above with a hobby that also added to my quality of life. Cooking. I'm pretty sure my wife married me for it. Building things, puzzles, and video games. Got me into programming and data science. Knew nothing about coding, and now chief technologist at my company. Was a depressed alcoholic in my 20s. Life in my 30s feels like playing with cheat codes. Story 88. I hope someone will see this. Working on my self-esteem and self-awareness has helped a lot. I look at myself in the mirror and can smile. I am able to put myself out there for the things I actually love doing. I am able to correct myself with love and not condemnation. I am more empathetic to other people. It's true what they say. You can only love others as much as you love yourself. Story 89. Sports. Really, I absolutely hate the gym. But when I reached 30, I just couldn't ignore the fact I was out of shape with health issues I really shouldn't have that soon. It was hard to start since some grandpas at the local gym were doing a lot better, and it does not help your self-esteem to lower the weights after some gray-haired 70 has used the machine. But overall, doing sports for 2 times a week has increased my health a lot. I basically do the same thing in the gym for 5 years now. It is not fun, it is not exciting, but if you see it as a health thing like brushing your teeth, it is totally manageable. Story 90, getting serious about sleep. I used to treat sleep like this optional thing, stay up late, scroll endlessly, and then wonder why I felt like a zombie the next day. But once I started going to bed and waking up around the same time every day, it turns everything. Story 91. Getting my iliac veins stented, I have May Thurner, and my body rerouted my blood flow through my lower back. I was in a lot more pain prior to that stent. The doc who found it elevated his status in my pantheon of docs from demigod to god status. Only 3 gods in the pantheon. The rest are demis, as I refuse to see mortals. Story 92. Lamotrigine for my bipolar. fucking saved my life. I had decided to give myself 6 months to figure out the right method and put my life in order before committing. Last-ditch effort, I made an appointment with my doctor, got help, and got the right meds. Lamotrigine saved me. I don't even care that I have to pay a subscription fee for mental health. I can hold down a job now. I'm stable and in a good place. For anyone struggling with it, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, I promise. Story 93, it's a list of things. Quit drinking. It's incredible how much it held me back socially and professionally. Seen a doctor about my inability to focus. Turns out I was playing life on hard mode. ADHD can be brutal. Switched to a bidet and started eating more fiber. If I had to pick one core improvement, it would be a hard choice between quitting drinking and doing this. Running, really any cardio exercise, would have made a huge improvement. I feel mentally and physically better. Being social. Turns out engaging in hobbies in the community that surrounds them is a huge mental boost. Forcing myself to socialize has made me handle social situations better and reduced my social anxiety. Sounds stupid when I type it out, but it is what it is. Story 94. Comfortable shoes. Always bought regular shoes from big-name stores. Tried walking or running shoes from REI. Absolutely amazing. Little to no foot pain. Plenty of cushion right out of the box. Especially if you're on your feet all day. The price is high, but the difference is greatly noticeable. Story 95. Honestly, prioritizing my happiness. As corny as it sounds, LOL. I've been a reserved, quiet person all my life that's lead people to think they can walk all over me, even close friends. But I have a coworker who's a few decades older than me, and she's big on telling me to just cut people off. And to me, that was life-changing. As someone who was trying to people-please everyone, if I don't want to go or do something, I no longer do it, and I'm fine with that. Story 96. Working out regularly. Sounds boring and must be annoying to hear it again and again, but it did so much for my well-being. It regulated my otherwise painful period. It boosted my confidence. It boosted my mood. There is a reason it is now prescribed to fight depression. Doesn't even have to be extreme or a lot. A few hours a week will do wonders. It still sucks a bit to have to somehow find the time to do it, but I do feel so much better when I do. I see it as another unskippable chore, like brushing teeth. Story 97, going to get tested for ADHD. Everything has improved so much, and I mean everything in my life. I was so overwhelmed the first day of taking the pills that I broke down crying. Now, almost 5 months into the cognitive therapy, everything is even better. I'm able to organize and take charge of my life. People are always surprised to hear it because I'm not hyperactive in the most physical sense. I was so good at faking normal. But I tell them, even the little things like brushing my teeth regularly used to be such an internal battle. Everything was difficult. Story 98, not giving a F, KKK, about what people think or say about me. If they want to think I'm lazy, okay, go for it. If they want to think I'm hey, okay, go for it. If they want to think I'm rich, okay, go for it. If they want to think I'm unhappy only because I don't show them my happiness, okay, go for it. At this point in life, and since I put my own mental health first, I feel more calm and sane than ever. Story 99, a few huge things. Budgeting. First figuring out where my money was going, then figuring out where I wanted to go. Once I did this, overtime and picking up extra shifts were something I could utilize and look forward to meet my goals rather than dread. List making. I can't remember anything to save my life, so every day at work, I make a list of prioritized objectives. Every line through a task is a hit of dopamine and keeps my brain in the right direction. Anxiety and worry, workbook and journaling, therapy. Working through my baggage helped me to be a more grounded person who is now capable of living in the moment and not constantly spiraling about the little challenges that are bound to pop up in life. Making time for hobbies. I try go get outside most days for some time in nature, work out regularly, and listen to my favorite music and podcasts. I love puzzles and gardening. Does this make me an old lady? Probably, but I enjoy it. Fuzzy blankets and a reclining couch. I love a good lounge. Story 10, I know it's not like alcoholic levels, but going from drinking 2 nights a week, 6+ beers, to only drinking a few beers once a week or less has really improved my life. I don't have hangovers. I don't have fuzzy memories of what even happened those nights. I feel 10x better every day, I have less headaches, and I have a lot more time on my hands to do better things when I'm not wasting half my day hungover or sitting at the bar all night. Story 11. Realizing what a privilege it is to not be the center of the world. Everybody's not watching me all the time, for example, like I can take breaks at work, nobody cares. I don't have to be perfect at everything because nobody cares. Just relax and be. If the world revolves around you, it is a very drama-filled place. Get out of there. Story 12, setting boundaries around work. I used to work long hours and sacrifice weekends worrying about maintaining job security. I realized it was just not stressing me out and making me feel horrible. So I started working only exactly 40 hours, taking every single lunch break, taking the 15-minute breaks, and stopped checking my work email after hours and on weekends. I stopped scheduling Friday meetings, stopped replying immediately to people if I didn't need to, and began triaging work. I use all my vacation time and tune out while I'm gone, and I started saying no more. Caused a complete turnaround in my life for the better. Story 103, finally starting ADHD meds in my 30s. Was diagnosed in 7th grade but told I didn't need meds because I had straight A's. I honestly can't believe other people's brains work like this without meds. It's life-changing for me, especially at work. Story 104, stand up on my own and say no or communicate what I feel or think, regardless if the person is ready to hear it or respond to it. Communicate, as in measuring the situation and uttering it in good intention and with calm. I grew up in a family and culture where I need to be quiet and follow orders. Be a good girl so people loved me. I didn't know about boundary until I left home and sought therapy at 40. Reversing everything is tremendously hard and need constant loop of telling myself that what people's feeling is not my responsibility. No matter how much I sacrificed my feeling and my voice, the more I died inside, but it didn't appease the other person, because the issue is all along lies in their inadequacy to face their problem. Not only it's liberating, but I earned the respect and peace I've been yearning all my life. I wasn't easy to get triggered, thus holding full control of myself. In contrary, I saw the people I need to please crumbled in personal life and relationship because they still didn't take ownership of their issues. Story 105. Going back to school as an adult to change my career. I worked a retail management job and it was okay. It paid the bills, but it was retail. So you were away from your family a lot on holidays and things. After 10 years, they randomly let me go. Normally when you're fired, you are sad or scared, but I was relieved. I took unemployment for a year and a half trying to find a job, while also getting to hang out with my kids. My son was one at the time, so I spent every day with him for a year and a half paid. It was awesome. Yeah, we had to tighten our belts and got some assistance, but I didn't want to work another dead-end retail job. So my wife and I discussed it, and I went back to school once my unemployment ran out for a degree in IT. Yes, I'm purposely leaving it vague. I was in my early 30s at the time. Got grants and school loans to help cover finances, took 18 credit semesters while still being the primary caregiver of the kids, graduated with a 3.74 GPA, and now I work in IT, and I love it. Story 106. Being selective with the people in my life, I held on to a lot of relationships due to loyalty and obligation. When I lost my mom, I stopped keeping up with friends, Shaksha family that didn't make me feel loved, and I've never regretted it. I can honestly say all the people in my life would do anything for me, and I feel the same. Story 107. I had bariatric surgery. I've been fat my entire life. The first time I was teased for my weight was in kindergarten. I went from a chubby kid to a fat teenager to an obese adult. I've done every diet known to man and lost and regained the same 50 pounds about a dozen times. 6 months post-surgery, and I've lost 75 pounds. I'm not thinking about food all the time, and I feel like I'm finally in control of my own body. Story 108. Putting boundaries on work. I work for myself in a freelance industry, and especially at the beginning, I would say yes to all the gigs, even when they didn't pay well. As I started to become more successful and booking more, I just became more burnt out to the point I would be exhausted and sick for a week every couple of months. I finally realized I have to fill my cup first. I only do my best work when I'm rested, and that means I have to say no a whole lot more. It sucks, but it's helped me and in turn helped my business. Story 109, I recently upgraded the tiny 22 monitor to a 42 LCD C4 screen in front of my treadmill. I run on it twice a week, 2 Annex 10-kilometer runs. I could do shorter runs more often, but I use the 10 kilometers as a stress test of the body because if anything is off, that will tell you about it. It also does wonders for your sleep quality, as you may think you're tired right now, but in reality, you're underworked physically and not able to rest deeply. As a side benefit, it clears up mental demons for a while, tricking you into thinking life is still worth living. Story 110 supplements. Vitamin D3, B complex, magnesium citrate, zinc, a multivitamin, fish oil, resveratrol, turmeric, a probiotic, and psyllium fiber. I started taking these after I noticed I was almost always sore, couldn't sleep through the night, and would wake up sore. I dealt with that for years. Turns out I had major inflammation. It took several months, but these supplements totally eliminated that. One day I just noticed I wasn't sore anymore and could sleep through the night. My energy levels increased too. Rarely ever do I feel like taking a nap during the day. Even when I was young, I never felt this good. It almost feels like a superpower. I just don't get sore anymore. Bonus is that when I get vaccines, there is very little soreness. Previously, I might be very sore near the injection site for days, with it taking a whole week to totally subside. Story 111. I wish I got clean. I'm just a little over 150 days, and just in these short 150 days, my life has changed drastically. My finances are gold, my marriage is thriving, and I'm starting to get back involved with my kids. Life is good. Story 112. That my control extends only to the end of my fingertips and not 1 micron further. That is both one of the hardest lessons I've ever learned and one of the most life-changing. I wish I learned that so much sooner than I did. Learning that I can literally only control myself and not a single other thing seems like it would be obvious, but you'd be amazed how many times you think to yourself, man, I wish that she would just, or yeah, but I want him to, or but I want this to work this way. Nope, not going to happen. It's outside of your control and not your choice. She's going to do what she wants to do. He's going to think what he's going to think. And it was designed or made that way, so that's the way it is. Can you exert influence? Sure, but guaranteed change, control, and authority. My friend, the answer to that is be an engineer or a top, and even then ask them how it works out for them. Story 113. I'm 62 and getting a personal trainer did it for me. I'm not a going to the gym sort of person, but I work a physical job with lots of lifting, turning, awkward postures, etc. And I do things like going for long, brisk walks. I didn't feel I was unfit, but I could feel my strength and balance weren't what they once were. She says my main muscles were really strong from years of use, but my secondary supporting muscles weren't doing much at all. It took a very short time for aches and pains I had thought were just a normal part of aging to disappear. Story 114. I used to be a yes person. If someone asked me out or invited me to something or wanted to take a trip, I would immediately say yes because it would seem like a good idea at the time, and less so 24 hours later. Now I say, I'll think about it and take my time to actually work out if I want to do it or not. Honestly, this was really silly and simple, but it made a massive difference in my relationships. Story 115. Slowing down, observing everything, and giving away free attention, shock, kindness. This has literally helped my brain way more regulated, where I can see things more clearly, even my own thought patterns. My life has gone 360 from being extremely depressed, angry at the world, and avoidant to life is completely magical with so many great connections and being open to new experiences and opportunity. I have a great relationship with my parents and a job I really enjoy and feel free and connected at the same time. Story 116. I began taking Accutane. I'm 31. For years, I resisted taking it due to the negative experiences and severe side effects I had heard about. I am now on my 5th month and am incredibly happy with my decision. Fortunately, I work from home, which I believe has helped me manage the dryness. I also have a ton of brain fog, but I know all of my side effects will go away once I'm done with Accutane. Not having acne as an adult is worth the few months of side effects. Story 117. Probably not the typical answer, but I adopted a dog. It's a financial burden, so I wouldn't expect this to fit for most people, but I've always loved dogs and I've wanted one of my own for ages. There's a bunch of backstory leading up to it, but the decision to finally pull the trigger has changed my life. She is the greatest decision I've made in a very long time, and every second I'm around her keeps me going. Story 118. I quit drinking. I have no idea how I made it through my 20s. By all rights, I should have died on multiple occasions. I was reckless, to say the least. Drove when I shouldn't have. Climbed over a balcony of an 18-story building to fetch a pint of vodka I dropped. Went to jail for persistent DUI, etc. It's been 13 years since my last drink, but man, if I go back and talk to myself, I knew my dad and his dad were all alcoholics, but I started anyway. Hell, my dad showed me the booze cabinet when I was 13, for God's sakes. I always wonder where I would be in life if I hadn't wasted so much time and health on that horrible shite.